Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Random Chatter. I know this is a little weird because we're streaming this on a Wednesday, but we got snowed in last weekend, and the upcoming weekend we have some Super Bowl nonsense. And apparently my co-hosts thought that was more important than actually spending time with you guys. So I guess we know where their priorities lie, don't we?
Wow, you threw us under the
really
bus.
Did.
In a big way.
Yeah.
Huh. We don't need rules. We do what we want.
Yeah. Well, the reality is none of you guys out there would be listening to me when the Super Bowl's going on anyway, so it's okay. That's okay. We still love you. But
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Hush, Tim. When I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. So,
oh, good.
We don't have a lot to cover in the news today, but we do have a few things, one of which is the Golden Globe nominations. We're not going to go through all of the nominations, but there were some interesting ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the big ones: the Best Motion Picture Drama, Musical Comedy, Animated, and Best Television Series Drama, Musical Comedy. I guess there isn't one for Animated. Best Television Limited Series, and then a couple of other little notable things. And then we've got some other bits in the news, including some news about a story from back in 2015 that I think we threw out in a lightning round at one point and then never heard about again. And now we're finding out what really happened. We're going to get to that in a minute.
I'm so glad that we're keeping current.
Breaking news, yeah.
Well, it actually is breaking. Like, this aspect of it's breaking.
Sure.
Okay.
So we're actually staying on top of it. It's a long story, which we'll get to in a minute. And it's not a long story. It's kind of a short story, but it's very interesting and it's a little bit infuriating at the same time. How are you guys doing?
I agree.
Lou, welcome. You missed part of the Force Chatter episode, but we're...
Yeah, sorry. I was running a little later than I wanted to be tonight. And
we're a little bit off schedule this week, so it's all right.
You guys kept us on track, so we're good.
Well...
No, I'm good. I'm first of my 4 days in a row off, so I took a few vacation days from work that I had to use up. So,
congratulations, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was a little bit of a rough day for me, but I've recovered.
Why is that funny, Lou?
And, I'm looking forward to
I was getting bits and pieces of what was going on with Tim's day, and I was like, oh god.
Oh
yeah, it was just.
I'm out of the loop. I'll have to catch up on that.
It just, started from the moment that I woke up with, misbehaving dogs, and it just kind of got worse from there. But then it actually got better in the afternoon.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
I see. Okay, well, I'm glad it's getting better. Uh-oh, I just got a notification from YouTube that there's a buffering issue. We'll see how that goes. That's all right. That's why we have local backup recordings. You're recording this locally too, right, Lou?
I am not.
I am.
So here's, okay. Good.
Somebody's on the ball.
Well, because here's what I was going to say. I'm still accidentally recording the audio from this attached to the Force Chatter one, so I could always just split them off. But if Tim's got it, that's okay.
Yep.
That's why we have multiple redundancies and backups.
And I'm actually seeing no problems on the YouTube
Excellent.
stream.
Although if I click the link in Discord, it goes nowhere.
Are you clicking it with your right hand or your left hand, Lou?
It's just I can't open the page. I don't know if it's me or if it's the link.
That's okay. It's probably your mouse.
It's probably the link.
Golden Globe nominations. So you know that we typically don't care about award shows here on Random Chatter, especially the Academy Awards. But the Golden Globes seem to be a little more in tune with what the average.
Yet we talk about them every year.
We talk about them, but we hate talking about them. We talk about them because we're obligated to, right? And we remind people of that every time we're forced to talk about them. We're only doing it because we have to. But the Golden Globes typically a little bit better right up until we get to the comedy section. And then we have things like The Martian winning for Best Comedy. And then what was it? Where was that recommendation you posted in Discord today, Tim? Was that Netflix?
No, that was Dish.
Oh, okay.
That
Tell people
Dish,
about that.
You go to movies on demand in Dish, and they have them organized by genre and by time period and all that kind of stuff. Looking through the comedy movies, Taken was listed as a comedy
With Liam Neeson. Where his daughter gets abducted by terrorists and he goes and shoots and beats the crap out of people and it's a big slaughter fest.
Yeah, that's a comedy. Yeah,
okay. With a very particular set of skills. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yes, because of my sense of humor, there are parts in that movie that I laughed. However,
but yeah, more so like a yippee-ki-yay line from Die Hard, not because it's a comedy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that here in a minute with the Golden Globes, but I'm not going to go over everything, like I said, but I wanted to hit a couple of the bigger categories. So Best Motion Picture for Drama. I've heard of 2 of these things. 2020 was a rough year for movies, right? So it's a little weird, but The Father, Mank, Nomadland, and then the 2 that I did hear of, Promising Young Woman, which I've heard is pretty good, and The Trial of the Chicago 7, which I've got on my list, and I want to watch. It's like a docudrama sort of thing. You guys see any of those?
Yeah, my wife and I a few weeks ago watched Mank.
Okay, what was it?
And so it is. I actually talked about it on our.
I thought you did.
So, yeah. So it is basically a old Hollywood type of thing. It's about Mankiewicz, the guy who wrote
right. Okay.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he basically ghost wrote it because he was fundamentally blackballed from Hollywood because of alcoholism and some other things. And yeah.
Okay.
Really, really well done. It had
people in it.
His name. Had people in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Him too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's
yeah. It was good. It was good. I mean, it wasn't outstanding, but it was a nice piece. I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. So moving on, because I don't think we've seen enough of all of those to really comment on prospective.
Yeah, I haven't seen any
winners.
of those.
Yeah. Best motion picture, musical or comedy. Now, I take umbrage with the fact that they're combining musical and comedy. There should be musical and there should be comedy.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
very different things.
Those Venn diagrams
they're hard to
don't
combine.
often overlap. For example, Hamilton very much deserves to be in this and is. It's one of the nominations. Not at all a comedy. Yeah, there were a couple of humorous moments, but it is not a comedy.
Right.
And you have comedies that have no music. There's no overlap inherent in those 2 categories. And yet this is a thing every time. So we have Hamilton. We have music. I'm guessing that falls under the musical part.
That could be a comedy.
It could be.
I guess so.
The Prom, which I've not seen.
Nor have I.
Borat subsequent movie film, which I have seen.
We'll never see it. We'll never see it.
Really?
Ditto.
Really? Both of you? Never? Like,
Yeah.
Nope.
Just not a Borat fan.
Not a Borat fan
it's
at
not
all,
about Borat. What's interesting is
matter.
the people in the movies
It doesn't matter.
that don't know that they're in a movie. That's the interesting part. You don't watch it for Borat. Who wants to watch Borat himself? No, you watch for the other stuff. It's
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Then their
it's a
marketing is
sobering
totally wrong.
commentary on what the state of our society actually is. Like, it's almost not a comedy. It's almost a horror film.
Have you watched Fox News?
Yeah. When, but not late at night, because then, nightmares. And
It gets scary. Yeah.
only if there's someone to cuddle on the couch with and hold me when you get startled. It's the only way I'll watch Fox News. So what else?
Might me never to watch Fox News there, Eric.
Well, thanks, Lou. Thanks for that vote of confidence there, buddy.
I'll do a lot of things for you, Eric, but I'm not going to cuddle with you on the couch.
Well, So many comments I want to make. Palm Springs was the other one, which I assume was supposed to be a comedy because there was no music in it. Did you guys see Palm Springs?
No.
I've not seen any of
Okay.
these.
The only thing here I've seen is Hamilton.
Okay. So, Tim, you should watch Hamilton. And I say that.
Yeah, I actually have not seen Hamilton. It is something I should see.
And if you don't know, ask your wife, Robin, because we talk about it on Movie Chatter. You know how much I hate musicals. Hamilton is worth watching. I've watched Hamilton numerous times, and it's only been out for not even a full year yet.
I like that you had to specifically state my wife's name as if I didn't know it.
I say it because
that's the only thing in that sentence
I'm
that
saying
I
it for the
actually paid
audience.
attention to.
Because if I say, hey, ask your wife, everybody in the audience is like, oh, what's Eric doing with Tim's wife? Like, there needs to be context for the audience members, Tim.
All right.
If you need to know how to spell her name, let me know. We'll talk offline. So Palm Springs was pretty decent. It stars Sandberg from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and SNL.
Andy.
I keep confusing. Is it Andy or is it Adam? And then I never want to say the wrong one. I also work with both an Andy and an Adam, and I confuse their names like daily, and it's a problem. So Mr. Sandberg and is it Kristen Milotti? She was in the last season of How I Met Your Mother. She was in that Star Trek-centric episode of Black Mirror. She's been in numerous different things. You'd recognize her if you saw her. Anyway, it was good. It was Hulu exclusive. And it was kind of a more modern, almost relationship angsty version of Groundhog Day. Worth watching. Do not.
An angsty version of Groundhog Day?
It's not a comedy. Like, Groundhog Day was a romantic comedy. This was like a romantic drama with no romance. A little bit at the end. Not even romance as much as just like relationships. It was complicated. But there was no comedy. How is it in... Anyway. You guys get the point. I don't even need to belabor it any further. Yep. I really hope Hamilton wins in that category. Borat shouldn't even... I enjoyed the Borat movie to an extent, but I mean, there's no way it should be in there.
It's so interesting that you have something like Borat against something like Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And keeping in mind that I've not seen either one of them, but I know what they're about. And like Hamilton is something that is like respectable and historical and... like this huge
critically acclaimed
phenomenon, critically acclaimed, and then Borat is Borat.
Yeah,
this category,
which even
is
with the social commentary,
broken.
It's still just you can't put the two of them next to each other. It's insulting.
I mean, you can in the sense that they're both a character's name, and that's about where and they both have vowels and consonants.
I mean, that's like putting me on the same podcast as Mike.
Oh my gosh.
I am offended by that.
All right, moving on. Best Motion Picture Animated. This is one of the categories that I'm very curious how this is going to turn out, because I think this is going to be a heated race. We've got The Croods: A New Age, which I have no interest in. We have Onward, which I watched. That was a Pixar movie, right?
Yep, saw that.
Over the Moon, which is a Netflix exclusive, very Pixar-like, and there were some flaws with it, but it was pretty good. And then Soul, which I thought was really good. Some people didn't really get it. It's a movie you either really connected with or you really didn't. And then Wolfwalkers, which I haven't seen, but I've heard a lot of phenomenal things about. Other than The Croods, I think any of these could win. I was not a big fan of Onward. Lou, you saw Onward, right?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it either. I mean, it was okay, but it didn't really do it for me.
Did you? I think we talked about it on Movie Chatter, so you might have seen it too, right, Tim?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not impressed with. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
It had good parts, but
yeah.
Only from the waist down. It's a joke because one of the characters only exists from the waist. Never mind. Okay. Soul I thought was really good, but Wolf Walkers could do really well. And I don't know about Over the Moon. I don't think it's necessarily going to win, but Netflix has 42 nominations this year.
Yeah.
So Netflix is
that's where everything's been going.
Really strong, right? Yeah. So then we move into television. Best television series drama. We've got, and this is the other one. This is like the category to watch this year. Okay. So first off, we've got The Mandalorian, which we don't even need to say anything about that one. We've got Ratched, which Tim, you and I were talking about this on Force Chatter. I wasn't familiar with it, but it's from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's the prequel to that, focusing on the nurse character.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And it's supposed to be well liked, right?
Yes. Yeah. People. Well, obviously, it got a nomination.
Well, but
so
some things
people
get
like
nominated, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you nominate that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, how did they nominate Onward? But and I haven't seen it. I actually forgot that it was out. And I have been looking forward to seeing it. So it's one of those things I got to catch up on.
The Crown, which seems to get nominated every year. It's very well liked. It's got a lot of critical acclaim. It's a period piece. So I don't think I've even sat all the way through one of the trailers for it. But I imagine it's got a good chance of winning. And then Lovecraft Country, which a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of hype from audience members. Tim, I know you've seen it. I finished it up recently, finally. Yeah. Lou, have you seen it yet?
I just started
it. So. Okay.
I gotta say, even though it's up against The Mandalorian, I'm still pulling for Lovecraft Country. I love the storytelling in it, and yeah. I really
I'm really torn.
I'm really, really pleased and excited that The Mandalorian made this list. I think that's great.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to win, though.
No, it probably isn't. And I don't think Lovecraft Country will either, because we talked about this a little bit on Force Chatter. For as much as The Mandalorian is niche, Lovecraft Country is also kind of niche. Whereas The Crown it's been around for a while. It's more mainstream. So is Ozark, but I think The Crown is the favorite here.
I'd like to see Ozark.
Yeah, we didn't mention Ozark as the last one in the list. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, but I think The Crown's got it.
I don't know.
I mean, it's got all the news behind it.
I think Lovecraft Country has a chance because the social commentary in it is both very relevant and very strong, and not so preachy that it detracts from the overall story.
True.
And it's got good production quality. Like it's a really well-crafted show. And The Crown is a little long in the tooth. Like it's been around for a while. So yes, it's established. But there's also one of those things that happens sometimes with awards where it's like, oh yeah, obviously they're up again. And people start wanting to look to see what else, what fresh blood can kind of come in. I don't know that The Crown is quite at that point yet, but if it tips in that direction, I think Lovecraft Country could get it. I don't think it'll be Ozark. Though of the three that I've seen, Lovecraft Country, Mandalorian, and Ozark, I love The Mandalorian so much, but I love it because I love it, not because I think it is inherently a superior series to the other two. So for me, it would really be, if I had to choose, like if I were voting, it'd be a tough choice between Lovecraft Country and Ozark. I think Lovecraft Country is really so outside the box and so different and revolutionary and epic, and what a great job at the acting and the directing and the writing, and yet
really unique story.
While Ozark is still more of the same that Ozark is freaking amazing. So I want more of the same of that. I don't know. But I think that's the category to watch this year, Best Television Series Drama. Moving on, Best Television Series Musical or Comedy. We've got Emily in Paris, The Flight Attendant, The Great, Schitt's Creek, and Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso's gotten so much hype, I think that's probably going to win.
I've only seen The Flight Attendant out of this. And I enjoyed Flight Attendant.
I did too. I was surprised.
Yeah, it was another like really unique storytelling, and it's one of those things that it has a very superficial perspective, and then it also has a very, very deep perspective to
And
it,
it's clearly a
which
comedy.
I think you only, yeah, and you only really get into the depth of it several episodes
Right.
in. Um, and I'm glad it got greenlit for a second
Yeah.
season. I don't know that it's going to win here, though. I mean, like Schitt's Creek, everyone talks about it. Like you said, Ted Lasso
Schitt's Creek is really
a lot
good.
of people are talking
you've
about.
seen that.
Yeah. Emily in Paris, I've heard a lot about. So, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I haven't seen for Schitt's Creek is the most recent season, which is still on Showtime. I can't remember what network it's on.
Which
We watched it on
ironically is
Netflix.
what was nominated. It's the most recent season, though. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Netflix,
but
but
the
is that
series
not
is good.
the current stuff?
Not the current stuff. Until that season finishes and it's been out for a while, then they'll release it there.
Okay.
But I've seen the rest of the seasons, and the show is good. The character progression has been good throughout. I think I said before when I talked about it on our review show, it's one of the things where some of the characters are really, really, really annoying, but you appreciate them for that because it's just well done. So yeah, and I like Flight Attendant too. I've never seen the other ones here, so I can't really comment on them. But
Yeah, all I know is that Ted Lasso, which I also haven't seen, that's from Apple TV Plus, has been just nonstop. Everybody's raving about it.
And I've heard people say it's good, but
I don't know.
It
just got nominated for 3 Writers Guild of America awards too.
Okay.
So, and Kaylee Cuoco was nominated for Best Performance by an actress in a TV musical comedy for The Flight Attendant.
Okay.
So I just don't, again, like how is it a comedy?
There was some comedy parts to it. I mean,
there's comedy parts to
dark
any
comedy.
television series.
It's a dark comedy.
The Mandalorian had some comedic moments in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would consider this a comedy or a dramedy, maybe. It's got some drama to it, but it's got some comedic stuff going on. Dark comedy, of course, because the tones it's taken on. But the whole thing of being inside her head and the conversations with the dead guy and
but that's not to be funny. That's to be representative of an inner monologue that like she's having. Yeah, but starting to have a mental break.
The way she reacts to it is comedic, I think. So,
yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's not SNL funny, but it's
Even SNL's not SNL funny anymore. Anyway, moving on.
It has its moment.
Last category we're going to talk about just briefly: best television limited series, anthology, or motion picture made for television. We have Normal People, The Queen's Gambit, Small Axe, Undoing, and Unorthodox. Of these, I've heard of Unorthodox, but The Queen's Gambit's the only one I've seen, and I'm really, really rooting hard for it to win.
Oh, and I think it will win. I think overwhelmingly so it's going to win. I mean, it was so darn good. And, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya, not Anya.
Anya. Nominated both for that as well as for Emma. So, she has 2 nominations. I think that series was just absolutely incredible.
She did such an incredible job with it.
She did.
The only thing I'd seen her in previous to that was New Mutants, which was very much just constantly rolling your eyes. Like I felt like I needed to see an optometrist afterwards because, but wow, she did such a stellar job in this.
Yeah. Really impressive.
Only other things of note that we didn't discuss throughout when we were talking about Ozark, both Jason Bateman and Laura Linney got nominated for best performances for a drama for that one. Mm-hmm. So again, they're both so incredible in that show. Like it's got to be some of their best performances of their careers, which is saying a lot, especially for Laura Linney. Anyway, so that's the Golden Globe nominations. That's the big news out of the week. We just got a couple of other little things here.
Before we move on, and I know we're running a little long anyways, but there was a bunch of controversy I heard midday today because these were announced this morning, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it James Corden had a lot of backlash against him for his portrayal of the character in The Prom, was it? So, I mean, if you're not up on on the controversy over it, he played a gay character in The Prom, and he's not a gay actor, and the internet blew up over his nomination for that. It was just, ridiculous, I thought. But yeah, I mean, and part of me wants to say, I mean, if his portrayal was, I haven't seen it. If his portrayal of it was degrading and inappropriate, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing about an actor portraying something they're not, that's kind of what an actor is,
right?
I mean, if you have to find a gay actor to play a gay character, or whatever the topic is, that's not really acting, right? I mean, you want to act.
Well, I've known a lot of people who think
that's not
that James Corden is gay.
When I read it, I'm like, is he gay or not? But he's not. But
which is fine.
But the fact of it is, I mean, if you're an actor, part of that craft is portraying something you're not, right? I mean, if you're going to portray a middle-aged, overweight guy that runs a tractor dealership, hey, I'm your guy, But if it's me trying to portray, I mean, I could probably pull off Tim because we look alike, but I mean, that's the thing. It's like that is part of being an actor, is pulling off something that you're not, right? So I don't know. I have this whole thing of why couldn't they have cast a gay guy in the role? And I'm like, okay, I mean, I see your point, but at the same time, some of that is also being an actor and portraying your craft.
So I think that there's a logical argument, and that there's also a more of a sociological argument to be made. And I think that logically, and when I say logically, I mean just the inherent, like I've heard people say there's no way that a straight person can play a gay person convincingly. And yet we've seen it done before. And then you have gay people who have played straight people, like Barney in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
look at Eric Stone Street.
Who?
From Modern Family. He played Cameron.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the show, but
he's straight.
Of that couple, real life, one is gay and one is straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, he never got any backlash on that. So,
and I don't think he should.
And he shouldn't. I think he did a great job. Mm-hmm. And of course, with how Modern Family was done, I mean, they made fun of everyone's stereotypes.
Right, but they were also respectful to the underlying identities of the characters.
Yes,
they were respectful about it.
Maybe James Corden's portrayal wasn't good,
and yet it was nominated for a Golden Globe, so it couldn't have been that bad or inherently controversial either, or it wouldn't have gotten nominated.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the word stereotypical thrown out there and this and that. I mean, okay, fine.
Can have there's nominations that I think shouldn't have been nominated that I thought were bland. But here's the thing. On the flip side of that, though, I also do understand the other side of the argument where there are. It seems to happen more frequently in regards to race, but I see happening in other regards too, where people get they don't get roles. And they get otherwise shunned or left out and marginalized. And when they are included in things, they're stereotypes or caricatures. So I do understand where that's coming from. And that needs to be addressed on a very large scale. And changes across the industry need to happen. And so I support that too. But I also think that, back to what you said, Lou, acting is about pretending to be someone or something or whatever that you're not, whether that be a profession or an orientation or a northerner playing a southerner or vice versa. Like
same thing.
And I think there can be a, reasonably good balance between representation and that type of portrayal. Like you guys said, acting. You're playing someone who you are not.
Right.
And I think sometimes it depends on what the story is. Where maybe there's a little more sensitivity to it than might be in something that's a comedy or a superhero film or something like that. Right. Versus something that is a drama, something that is grounded in, based on a real story or something like that, where Yeah, you want to be more sensitive to that. You want to be more real and have better representation with that. And obviously we don't want people to be marginalized, and we've seen a lot of that, and we want to be promoting everyone and have that equality and have that representation. And along the same way, respect the craft of acting.
And I think that's what this boils down to, is at the end of the day, none of the three of us claim to have a solution. We see that there is a problem. And it's important to discuss it. It's important to have these discussions and to present opinions and to discuss those opinions and go back and forth and come together and unite in a way that is supportive and inclusive and resolves the problem. So we're not claiming to be able to fix anything here. And so anyway, we've got maybe 10 minutes worth of stuff left. Lou, do you need to duck out now
Yeah, I'm going to duck out
now. All right.
now,
I'm going to change the little video thing over here. So, Lou, we will see you again in a few minutes for the next part of Random Chatter.
Lou, don't get lost.
All right. We'll see if we can get this set up properly here. Uh-oh. No, we don't have Tim.
I'm here.
I know. We just don't have you on video.
Here.
Let me fix that. There we go. That's better. Now we have.
Hey, there I am.
Now we have Tim. Okay.
Switch sides.
So the only things we've got left here. Did you ever watch when you were younger? Did you ever watch Punky Brewster?
Not really. I may have seen an episode or two, but it was never really my thing.
Okay. I saw some growing up. Also, not really my thing. But so what people, unless you're old, what people don't understand. Back in the day, if you wanted to sit down and watch TV for a few hours, you typically had the 4 major networks, or if you're really old, 3 major networks. And then, yeah, you had some other things on cable, but cable, like non-broadcast network stuff, just wasn't that great back then. So if that was the time period where you had Punky Brewster and 2 or 3 other things that were even worse competing, you sat through a half hour of Punky Brewster to get to the next show that was actually what you wanted to watch.
Yeah.
You didn't get this whole, let me scroll through and pick a different thing.
And I will say, I mean, in the time it did have, there was some pop culture significance to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't mean to diminish it. It wasn't my thing, but there continues to be references back to it. Not a lot, but through the decades, there's still a lot there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was one of several iconic sitcoms, family-oriented sitcoms of its time period. So, you know. So the reason we bring it up, because I'm sure people are like wondering, they released a trailer for the Revival series. So they are bringing back Punky Brewster, specifically Soleil Moon Frye, who was the actress who played Punky Brewster as a child, is reprising her role. She's now grown up. And I forget the other actress's name, who is her best friend. She's, I think, in the series as well. Punky Brewster now is a single mom, raising, if I recall the trailer correctly, 3 kids. And then it looks like somehow she picks up kind of a runaway / orphan in the process. Her ex-husband is played by Freddie Prinze Jr., also known as Kanan from Star Wars Rebels. Also known as whoever it was from that really god-awful Wing Commander movie. Oh my gosh, that was bad. But anyway, we love Freddie Prinze Jr.
Also Shaggy.
Also, no. No, he played Fred.
Or Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Not Shaggy. The other guy from the really bad Wing Commander movie played Shaggy. Matthew Lillard, really? I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize he was in Wing Commander.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Wow, was that movie. That movie was laughably bad. That movie was worth going back and watching. And it's fun. Like, when we were talking about Golden Globes, that could be a comedy. That would work. except now it's too old to qualify. Anyhow, yeah. So Punky Brewster's coming back, and I have to say that I'm okay with that. I don't like all these reboots and revivals and this and that, but I kind of feel like there was a period of time where you could turn on the television and just sit down and watch something and have fun with it and walk away from it feeling good. And now, when we really need for our escapism in our fiction to be something that is maybe a little bit of a pick-me-up and recharges you a little bit and restores a little bit of your faith in humanity. Instead, we're getting all of this really dark, foreboding, gritty stuff. And I kind of feel like, and we had a lot of that in the 70s. And then when we got to the 80s, everything was bright and cheerful and happy. And yeah, that's not realistic, but I don't need realism from all of my fiction. Like I get enough realism from reality, and that's hard enough to deal with. Sometimes I want something that's just happy. Dang it. Why can't we just have some happy stuff? Now, does it need to be Punky Brewster? I don't know, but I support this approach. And I think we need some optimism. We need some hope.
Sure.
We need some happiness.
Yeah.
It's contagious too. When you hang around people who mope around all day.
Pandemic.
Sorry, too soon?
Nope. Bad.
It is influential. Or is that too close to influenza?
That's better.
Okay.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
It has an influential effect on the people around you because it's when you hang around with someone who mopes all day and this is why I sequester myself off from people. It's not COVID. I don't want to bring everybody else in the world down. Right. That has an effect on other people. But then when you're around someone who's happy all the time, that rubs off on you and okay, things aren't that bad. And you feel happy.
Does. Or you want to just smack the living crap out of them.
If they're obnoxious about it. Absolutely. But then when you do that, you feel happy. Right? Random Chatter does not endorse punching happy people. So, no, we don't, Tim. No, we don't, Tim. We do not officially endorse it. Yep. We can't afford good lawyers, Tim.
We have Tom.
And what do we pay him? Very little. Yeah. We don't.
We don't pay him at all.
So anyhow, I guess what I'm saying is I would love to see, I love shows like Snowpiercer and stuff that's post-apocalyptic and it's like all of this epic stuff and drama going on. But every now and then sometimes I want to sit down and watch something like BattleBots. That's one of the reasons that I'm really hooked on BattleBots right now, not just because I think it's a good show, but because you've got a bunch of people who are good sports towards one another. The sportsmanship is admirable. And it's just fun. And I just want to have fun sometimes. And that rubs off on the people around you. And I think it also rubs off in our entertainment. And I think one of the reasons, not the reason, but I have to argue it has an effect as to why people are so reactionary toward one another and so pessimistic and filled with hatred all the time and constant conflict is because that's what we're feeding into our brains constantly all the time.
Or because you won't let me punch people.
See, that's if we had more Punky Brewster in the world, that wouldn't have even been a comment just now. Just saying. All right. Well, back to conflict. We teased at the opening of this episode that a long time ago, but not in a galaxy far, far away, there was a story about a Zelda live action series coming to Netflix.
Lovely lady.
Hush.
Oh, I thought we were talking about.
Nope. Copyrighted. We can't sing that song. Zelda live action series coming to Netflix. And this was leaked back in, I guess, 2015 by the Wall Street Journal. And great. Everybody was excited. And then it never showed up. And I think people just kind of wrote it off as, oh, well, it was another one of those, quote, leaks that just wasn't ever real.
Right.
Well,
or something that died in pre-production, or
yeah, well, a lot of people just wrote it
as so
off
many
as, oh,
projects
it was
do.
just a rumor. So
Right.
the story finally came out. Another group was working on a stop motion version of Star Fox. I don't know how familiar you are with Nintendo franchises, but okay. So
Yeah.
Star Fox was another really popular Nintendo series from way back when, and they were going to do it to kind of look like the Fantastic Mr. Fox film, if you're familiar with that at all, or at least that style of it. So when that series was
clever
canceled about 3 months after their contracts and stuff were signed, the creators, I guess, went to Nintendo and said, you know, what's going on? And Nintendo apparently told them, it's just came out like this week. Nintendo told them that somebody at Netflix leaked about the Zelda series, so Netflix was pulling the plug on everything. They just said, nope, we're closing our doors.
That's awfully, I mean, I understand being upset by that, but that's also awfully short-sighted.
Nintendo has always been super protective of their intellectual property, like on the levels of Disney, Lucasfilm. Like, they are hyper aggressive about protecting their stuff.
Sure.
And if you're wondering about Castlevania, things like that I think, was it Capcom? I think owns Castlevania.
Yeah,
It's not
Capcom's
Nintendo.
the
It was
owner of
licensed for the Nintendo system. It's not a Nintendo IP. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're wondering what happened, there you go. And that's why we can't have nice things, people, because of people who leak things, and podcasts like ours who then go and talk about them.
Yeah. Which is too bad. I mean, I'm a big Zelda fan. I would have loved to have seen, live action kind of thing. I think they could have made a really cool, adventure-y, slightly kitschy kind of series that I would have been all into.
It would have had a massive audience.
Oh, yeah.
Right now would be the best time to release it, too. Like, even back in 2015, 2017, I don't know how well it would have worked out, but 2020, 2021, like right now, people want content. They're sitting there on their streaming services all the time. Yeah. They need to reconsider.
Nintendo doesn't like money.
Oh, good old Nintendo. Well, a series that we are getting, I talked earlier in 2020 about a movie called Save Yourselves. And it was an independent film that came out over the summer. And it was about a couple in New York City who felt like social media was taking over their lives. And so they decided...
That's all of us.
Yeah. And they decided to go off the grid. They turned their phones off. They changed their voicemail saying, hey, if you're trying to call us, we're going to be gone for a week. Leave us a message. Sorry, you are not going to reach us. And they went out to a cabin that a friend of theirs had gotten them. And during this time period, an alien invasion happens. And specifically, the aliens are these things that look kind of like tribbles from Star Trek. It was a good movie, Tim. No, I'm serious. Dude, for an independent film, it was clever. It was well written.
Okay.
So much so that Universal, your favorite monster studio, Universal is actually making a series now based on the movie. Yes.
Really?
I'm telling you, people liked this movie.
What is a film series?
A streaming television series.
What?
Yep.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
You should watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. Yeah, it's on one of the streaming services. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, all kidding aside, it's worth checking out. Like, it's, it's an independent film. It's low budget, but the production is good. The writing and acting is good, and it's clever. It's something different that you don't always see. And you should watch it.
Okay.
In fact, I'm actually considering maybe throwing it in there for movie chatter, because I think even if not everybody on the show likes it, I think there's enough to discuss about it. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
But that's all we've got for this episode. So, I think what we're going to do, again, this is kind of a weird week because we've got the snow on one end of the week. We've got the Super Bowl on the other end of the week. So what we're going to do, we've got a bunch of stuff for the lightning round, but it's all a bunch of new releases and a lot of postponements for movies and projects. Mm-hmm. We talked before when we were going over the schedule for 2021. We're like, guys, don't write this stuff down. This is all going to change. Well, a lot of it already has. Yeah. So we are going to actually set up a separate lightning round episode for Random Chatter, and we're going to be bringing that to you very soon. Probably later this week. Probably me, the non-football watching guy, will do that while everybody else is watching the Super Bowl. So I don't know yet. Then,
or if you do it off of that time, I would be more than happy to join you.
Excellent. Well, maybe we will do that then. We also have another special edition episode coming up very soon. That's going to be a discussion episode, and we are going to be talking about the streaming services in general. Which ones? We're going to break them down, kind of, what the costs are, what the big highlights are from each one of them, what their strengths and weaknesses are. And we're going to talk about whether we feel like people should continue subscribing to them, because a lot of these free trials have either ended or they're ending. Some people are looking to pick up new streaming services. Things are going to change after theaters open up again. There's a lot of discussion about, what do I subscribe to? What do I drop? What do I do? So we're going to talk a little bit about our own experiences and what we would recommend, what we thought was a waste of money, and what we got a lot of value out of. And we're going to dedicate a whole episode to that. And we would love your comments on that too. So in closing, let us know what you subscribe to and what you think of it. Have you signed up for something and then dropped it because there just wasn't enough there? Are you really excited about something that you picked up and you just didn't realize that you were going to watch it that much? Let us know. Go to randomchatter.com/Discord. Hop into the Random Chatter channel. Remember, there are channels for each one of the shows on the Random Chatter network there. And let us know what you think. What have you signed up for subscription-wise that you would recommend or that you would tell people to stay away from? While you got that web browser open, also go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. Hit the subscribe and the like button down below. That would be a big help for us. Don't forget to subscribe to the audio podcasts as well. If you'd like to help support the network, actually, Tim, you're wearing one of our t-shirts right now, aren't you? We should have pointed this out on Force Chatter.
I am.
So if you go to randomchatter.com.
I am. Yeah, we have the new.
You got to go up a little bit.
Where's the camera?
There you go. Right there.
There
the new
is.
Force Chatter logo. Designed by Tech from our chat room here and our Discord community.
Absolutely.
You can go to randomchatter.com/store and you can get that, the Random Chatter logo, logos from our other shows on t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, whatever you'd like. So, and then also you can go to randomchatter.com/Patreon to help support the network that way. That is going to do it for this episode of Random Chatter. We will see you again very, very soon. And I guess enjoy the soccer game for our international viewers, the football game this, Sunday night. So yeah, enjoy. Yes. And we will be back very